And now, after a year hiatus, the Sportsway podcast is back in action. A lot has changed, except for your hosts. Please welcome Fitz and Christian Fitz.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, they thought we were dead. We proved them wrong. So welcome back. I'm Fitz Kerrigan. That's Christian Mott. We're just gonna get right into it with just what with the app and why we were off for a year. So it went through an update where we can't. I'm just gonna. Long story short, they went through an update. We couldn't record on it. We're recording on a new platform called Riverside, and then we upload it to the actual app. So you're not able to record anything on the app anymore, which was unfortunate. We couldn't figure it out until like maybe April or May, and then it was just a matter of time of figuring out a time to do it. We're both on summer break, both going to be freshmen in college next year. With that being said, we had a great senior year. We both graduated from high school. I graduated from Jones Gordon. Christian graduated from Los Alamitos. Christian, where are you heading off to in the fall, and what are you studying?
I'm going to Indiana, baby. Studying in exercise science, sports medicine, trying to become like an athletic trainer. That's the goal right now, but we'll see where life takes us.
Yeah.
What about you,
I'm
Fitz?
I'm going to Carroll University, which is located in Waukesha, Wisconsin, just outside of Waukesha, Wisconsin, just outside of Milwaukee. I'm going to be studying sports management, and I'm going to be one of the student managers for the Carroll basketball team. So with maybe like a goal of like one day becoming like an equipment manager, work behind the scenes, just kind of getting my feet wet, seeing if I like to do it, seeing if there's like something else I want to do. But just with that. It makes it kind of broad. It makes it kind of open. See what I want to do after college. So looking forward to that.
That's gonna be a paid job, right?
Yeah, it's getting paid.
Yep.
It's my paid campus job. Tim Kerrigan said I had to have a job when I was on campus, so that he said
Timmy.
that could take up for it. So no complaints there. But yeah, but we are back in action after nearly a year off.
We are.
We are back and we are ready to go. So we're just gonna get right into it. The NBA Finals have been going on over the last about last 12 days. For those who didn't know, I was in Europe, so I wasn't able to watch the first four games of the finals. But I watched Game Five, and Game Five was maybe one of Christian could speak, but I feel like Game Five was one of the best games of the series, maybe besides Game One. In the fact of where Indiana came back in Game One and won with that incredible shot by Tyrese Halliburton, who has little concerns. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Game Five was unbelievable. Jalen Williams dropped 40 points. J Dub,
40.
really local Valley kid from the Valley of the Sun, dropped 40 points. Played very, very well. Didn't really have a flaw. Just was doing kind of everything. He was shooting the three well. He was just getting to the basket, drawing. He had a ton of and ones, and then just knocking out his free throws. So, really big game from J Dub, and I think he's the reason why they won by how much they did. Now moving on, Game 6 will be in Indiana. With that being said, Tyrese Halliburton did not play very well last night. He only had 4 points, 0 in the first half, 0 for 6 from the field. And he has. They believe that it is a right calf strain that caused his problems because he's kind of grimacing a little bit.
Since Game 2, he's been hurt.
Yeah, Christian can talk more about that because he's been watching it. Christian, what do you know about like just kind of like how long this has lasted?
Well, they said it's since Game 2.
Okay.
I mean, I've been here in and out in terms of watching the finals. Like I was with my friends at one of the games, so I wasn't able to see a couple of the games. But in general, Halliburton's been playing pretty well. But it's the finals, and his team needs him to score a little bit more, and he hasn't been able to do that in the last couple games. So I think that's a problem with the Pacers. Obviously, this injury looks to be a problem for the rest of the series. We don't know Halliburton's status for the next couple of games. It's actually controversial if he even should have played like the second half of the game yesterday
Well, Stephen A.
because
Well, since I don't know if you saw at halftime, Stephen A. Smith was getting in his ass a little bit about
so was Perkins.
or
Perkins was
it was
crazy.
Perk. Yeah, Perk. Well, Perk's fat, so he didn't know a lot about that. But anyway, um, yeah, they were really questioning like whether or not for it was more for Carlisle than it was for Halliburton about you gotta sit him. You're going back home for Game 6. You got to make sure he's good. They got today and tomorrow of rest, and then Thursday's coming around the corner. OKC's ready to go and just try and end it there.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't be. But for those who Pat McAfee was this morning was saying praise the Pacers for extending this for 7 games. He's a very confident Indiana guy. Thinks that Indiana has what it takes to win Game 6. But I mean, listen, anything can happen in these finals, and it's really proved that way. Halliburton, I think he's just got to play. He's just got to go out and ball. Like, let's just be honest. I think with the way he played, if he's feeling 100%, I think he's going to go absolutely bonkers. He did not have a bad game, but also part of that was because of the injury. But you can't blame all that on the injury. That was just a really, really awful night. Um, so you can't blame that all on the injury. But like at some point, it's just got to be like. I mean, Halliburton's just been great these whole playoffs. He's had a lot of iconic moments. 4 game winners: the Bucks, the Cavs, the Knicks. Well, the Knicks was it was clutch. Let's just say clutch shots, not game winners. Um, but he's just been clutch this whole series and kind of a rare off night for Halliburton. What the Hallie?
All
Um,
right, bro.
I had
Bro's
to.
clip farming.
What?
Bro's clip farming.
Yeah, clip farming or farming too.
Mm.
No, but anyway, I think that if Halliburton said in his presser last night, if he can walk, he's gonna play. So I think, and he was walking out. He wasn't
He
very
was doing the Luca walk. I saw.
The Luca walk.
Wasn't Luca
Um,
limping after the Lakers series? Or was
that was
LeBron?
LeBron. That
LeBron.
was
Okay. Maybe
LeBron.
he's doing the LeBron walk.
Don't get me started about LeBron. But anyway, Halliburton, I think he'll be good to go. I think he's just going to play a good game. Christian, what do you think about the whole Halliburton deal?
Well, first of all, I think Mr. Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk, was way out of line at the halftime show. He's
I think Kendrick Perkins is out of line on a multitude of
yeah,
things,
he's
but I
damn
think
near
that was just the one
50.
that made the whole world notice him a little bit.
He's damn near 50, talking from his couch about how Halliburton's scared and this and that. I will say I've noticed in these last couple of finals games that I've been watching, Halliburton does seem like a little bit off. I don't normally watch a lot of Pacers games, so I don't know how he normally plays like all the time. I'm not super familiar with his game.
I
Um,
unfortunately had to watch a few Pacers games this year.
yeah,
That one
s-
didn't go very
I
well.
think they handled the Bucks pretty well.
Oh, that game 5 was. And I'm so glad I was at work because that was rough. I mean, just the whole they were up by 8 or they were up by 7 with like 40 seconds to go, and they let Indiana come back on like an 8-0 run and they win. Because I was at work and I was checking the score. And I'm like, yes, we're going back. It was like they were up by 7 with like 40 seconds to go, and I'm like, yes, we're going back to Milwaukee. We're gonna go get a win. We're gonna go back to Indiana, and hopefully we can get a win there. And then I checked my phone, and I maybe like 15 minutes go by, and I check my phone, and Indiana won. I'm like, did ESPN get hacked? Like, what happened? And I check it, and I'm like, oh my god, like, are we dead ass? Um,
Yeah.
so that was eventful. But no, I think well, let's get predictions for Game 6 because Christian got his prediction right last night for Oklahoma City winning the game. I thought Indiana was going to win after just like in a hostile. But dude, Oklahoma City, that's on my bucket list to go to for a playoff game. That place is loud. Like, let's just that place has some of the best fans in the NBA because you really can't do
Hey,
anything in
don't
Oklahoma.
knock the
You
Clippers fans, Fitz. Don't knock the Clippers
Hey,
fans.
no, no,
We
no, no, no.
support
I'm,
we support the
I'm no.
Clippers over
Okay,
here.
Clippers. Okay, Clippers fans. Like, you guys think that you're gonna win every. You guys think that you're gonna go all the way with Kawhi every year. Like, it's
That's
not
just me.
happening,
That's
bro.
just me.
That's just okay.
I don't
Well,
even
I'm
think
speaking up.
Clippers
I'm
fans.
speaking upon you to all the Clippers fans.
I don't think the Clippers
No,
fans
oh, dude.
are out
Well,
there too much.
well,
Just
they're
we got
yeah,
a nice ass stadium.
because
Nice
because the main
stadium.
team in LA is the Lakers.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, Oklahoma. There's not a lot to do in Oklahoma except farm. and then watch Thunder games. So let's let's just go spade to spade. That's why they're so loud.
That's why Iowa needs a NBA team. Because right now
Iowa,
they're just stuck with farming. They don't get to go to
yeah,
any basketball
Iowa,
games like that.
dude. If Iowa gets an NBA team, holy shit, like that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Except I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have any. I guess Oklahoma didn't have any either before the Thunder showed up.
I
There's
think
more.
the expansion's gonna hit. I think Seattle might get a team again. I think they're talking
Seattle
about an
needs an
expansion.
NBA team. Seattle needs an NBA team for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's stay on the topic of Seattle. A Seattle Seattle Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City, but this man
No.
who is wanting out
No.
of my hometown of Phoenix, Kevin Durant, started his career in Seattle, but all these trade rumors of him trying to find a next team. Right now in the loop is the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Miami Heat.
Are the Knicks
San
out of the
Antonio,
loop right now?
what?
Are the Knicks out of the loop right now?
Kevin Durant wants to go to the Knicks. The Knicks don't want him.
Really?
But Christian, you maybe have a little like another thought about another potential landing spot.
What?
Minnesota.
Yeah, that's what I think. He should go.
Yeah.
Team up with
Why do you think Kenny
Edwards.
needs to go to Minnesota? And why do you think he'll land in Minnesota?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he'll land there, but I think he should go to Minnesota. I think it's a good fit. Team up with Ant Edwards. Ant Edwards is the one of the young rising stars in this league. I think he's. I mean, I don't give out the term superstar often, but I think he's right on the cusp of being a superstar. He's been improving each year since a rookie, since he came in as the number one overall pick. Each year he's been improving. Um, and he's made it pretty known, especially with the Olympics, that KD is one of his idol, his favorite NBA player
Favorite player?
of all time,
Yeah.
and the Timberwolves had a good run this playoffs. They beat the Lakers, made it pretty far in the playoffs, and I think adding a player like KD could be very helpful as you try to sort of maximize what KD has left. He's still a very talented player, sort of on the downtick of his NBA career. He's very old now, but
He's still productive.
he still got some gas in the tank.
Yeah. Those Clippers and Bucks games that I went to, he was going crazy.
Yeah, and I think pairing him with a star like Ant Edwards would be beneficial as long as you can get him for a reasonable price. Like you don't want to give away your future for a guy like KD who's he's gonna retire soon. Let's call it what it is.
I think he's got like 2 to 4. I think he's got like 2 years left in him.
Yeah, and teams
I
like
think
the
he'll maybe get to year 20, and then after that he might hang up the sneakers.
sneakers, yeah.
It's not like LeBron where he could play for eternity.
Well, even LeBron, you can tell he didn't do too well in the playoffs. Like he's you can definitely see the age showing a little bit.
Neither did Luca, but that's because he was fat.
They did need a
But
big too. They need a big. That would be helpful.
yeah,
But
they need a lot of things and a new coach. But no, I don't know, Christian. I don't know if you saw, but there was a proposed trade from the Suns the Suns to San Antonio,
mm, yeah.
and it said Kevin Durant for Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan, 2 first-round picks, and a pick swap.
That's a
And
lot.
the Spurs rejected it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a little too much.
Yeah.
Especially with the picks. I think giving up young talent like Vassell, and
Speaking of picks, we're going to
Sohan,
talk about a lot of picks in a little bit.
Sohan, I think that's enough. That's quite a bit for a old aging player like KD. And I think the picks is a little too much adding to those picks.
Yeah.
So I understand why that was rejected.
Yeah, I think KD can. I think he'll. Now predictions, because this trade, it's like Aaron Rodgers. It could happen any day.
What's like Aaron
When do you
Rodgers?
think? When do you think this? Do you think this? Well, I'm gonna ask you this. Do you think the trade will happen before or after the NFL, or before or after the draft, which takes place a week from tomorrow, Wednesday, June 25th? Do you think it'll take place before or after?
Um, I'm thinking. Well, I did see one NBA insider already thought the trade has been done, and they're just waiting for the draft to announce it. But I think these sort of things take time, so I'm gonna my prediction is gonna be after the draft. So
Okay.
that's my guess.
And where do you think he'll go?
I mean, I think he should go to the Timberwolves. So that's what I'm gonna say. I think that's the best fit. I
Okay.
think uh, going to the Spurs. I mean, as long as you can get him for a cheaper price than what you mentioned earlier, because that's like one of those teams that's starting to build and has a good future with stars like Wembanyama. You don't need to trade a lot of that away for
Mhm.
KD. So
Yeah.
I think the Timberwolves is the best fit.
Okay. I think Houston's out of this. Let's just be quite honest. I think Houston's like they don't need. He doesn't fit what they need. Like I don't think he would pair well with Şengün.
I think he
So
could
I
play
think
well with anyone, honestly.
yeah, but I don't think I think he'll be a better pair with Wembanyama than he will be with Şengün. Wembanyama's a very very talented young player who can basically do like almost everything on the basketball court and stayed other than well I mean I don't know what his injury was last year that kept him out for the after the All Star break. But like before that, he's been pretty consistent. I think Wemby's going to be ready to go after sitting out the second part of the season last year. They added De'Aaron Fox last season. They got a ton of pieces together. They got the new coach, no longer El Jefe, aka Greg Popovich. But I think he'll go to San Antonio to be honest, because I think he fits right in. It's just how much they can't give. I don't think because they declined that trade because it was giving up too much. You give up you give two first round picks and a pick swap to a guy who's going to be 37 by the time the season starts. That 37 is not that's old in the game of basketball. So I think that was smart by San Antonio. I think they should give an offer back to Phoenix in something in a way that they think will be acceptable, and hopefully, I think he'll go to San Antonio. I think he'll end up in with the Spurs.
I think San Antonio has a lot of high picks this draft. I think they have
Yeah.
two. Do you have two lottery picks? Is that what it is? I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
the specifics, but
Yeah. Speaking of picks, let's talk about this Desmond Bain trade. Like it was kind of out of nowhere. So I come back from Europe, and it was it was weird because the jet lag is bad, and I wake up in the middle of the night, maybe like I want to say like 6 a.m. and I checked my phone, and it said Desmond Bain traded to the Magic for Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Cole Anthony, and for 4 first round picks. And I'm like, what the hell? I put it back down. And I went back to bed. I'm like, what? It was so weird because 4 first round picks is a lot, and it's definitely not. If it's not worth for KD, it's definitely not worth for Desmond
were they
Bain.
protected or unprotected?
I think they might have been. I think they might have been unprotected.
Okay, I don't know.
Or actually, I don't know, but either way, that's still it doesn't matter. There's still a lot of pick. There's still a lot of first round
Yeah,
picks.
wasn't Rudy traded for four firsts?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, he was. That was a crazy trade. And then a pick swap. But what are your original thoughts on Desmond Bain going to Orlando? Because I think that this deal is actually good for Orlando, even though they gave up 4 first round picks. They're getting Desmond Bain who can fit in their offense, and they need a good shooter. Jalen Suggs is more of a facilitator. He's not as much of a shooter, so he's more of a facilitator. He can kick out to Desmond Bain for threes. I think this is good for Orlando. What are your thoughts?
I think it was too much because they gave up Katavius Caldwell Pope, Cole Anthony, and those four picks.
Yeah. I think that I mean the picks. Let's just. I'm breaking this trade up into two parts. I'm trading up into players and the picks. I think the picks was stupid. Like, why would you trade your future away for Desmond Bain, who's just at best like a role player? He's not even an all star. Like, let's just call it spade to spade. He's not. He's a role player. He's not an all star. So trading away 4 first round picks for Desmond Bain was stupid. Now, if we're talking about the players, trading Desmond Bain for Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a role player. Well, Cole Anthony, he's a role player. I mean, hasn't done a whole lot, hadn't had a whole lot of production in the last couple of years. But Kentavious Caldwell, KCP, he was a champion in Denver. He's a champion in LA. He has this experience, but he's kind of climbing the ladder a little bit of getting older. So I think this is actually a good move, players wise. But picks, I think it's stupid. So I'm calling it in two parts.
Yeah,
Um,
I think a big part of why the Magic did this is they don't have a lot of firepower or 3-point shooters on their team.
that's what
They
I'm
have, I
thinking.
think, the lowest 3-point percentage or one of the lowest in the whole NBA, and that's not good for a team that is is made it to the playoffs. Even their star players aren't really known for their 3-point shooting.
Well, Desmond Bane's a way to get the 3-point shooting back to life.
Franz Wagner and the other guy from Duke. I don't know why I forgot his name, but
Paulo
yeah,
Banchero.
Paulo. They're not known for 3-point shooting. I think Desmond Bain definitely adds that firepower.
And
As
he's a good 3-point shooter. Let's not get that wrong.
Yeah, he'll fit in
Like, he's
well as a
lights
starting
out.
shooting guard. I'm looking at the stats. He last year or this past season, he averaged 19, 6, and 5 a game. And he's a solid defender. It gets a steal a game.
What's his
So
3-point percentage?
I know his career 3-point percentage is 41%. So he's really good from
That's a
downtown.
good percentage.
So
Kind of like Cam Johnson.
yeah, I think for the players it was definitely good for the picks. We'll see. I think that's not very good to give up your future, that much of your future for um a guy like that. But we'll
The
see
Knicks
how it
could use
plays
it.
out. I think he's definitely gonna be a good addition, and on the cover, it's gonna on face value, the Magic are gonna look pretty good with all these young stars. So we'll see it. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how everything will unfold. Um, the Knicks could use the future. And speaking of the Knicks, their coaching search has been an absolute circus. Tom Thibodeau got fired. I called it. He got fired after, maybe a couple days after their Game 6 loss in the Game 6 loss in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Indiana Pacers, eliminating them from the playoffs. Tom Thibodeau got criticized a lot because of his rotations. Definitely got criticized a lot because of his rotations, but I think that this is I don't know. I kind of said I think Tom Thibodeau will get fired, but I don't really know how they'd replace him, and I don't know how the process will go down. But they've requested permission from coaches like Chris Finch, Quinn Snyder, Ime Udoka, Jason Kidd. There's one more that I think they got declined from, so they didn't really know like what direction they were going in, and that's never a good. That's never a good sign for when you're trying to find a coach to help lead you back to where to because they fired Thibodeau because they wanted a coach who could take them to the next level. I mean, like Thibodeau took you to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah, Fitz, describe to the viewers why you think Thibodeau is fired, because you said you called this. So tell us a
Yeah,
little
well,
bit.
I did. I did. I told my dad, I'm like, I think Thibodeau might get canned. So the reason why I thought Thibodeau would get fired is because, yes, did he give you like? I didn't think the reason for why they fired him wasn't like what I thought. Like they said that it had nothing to do with the rotations. It had nothing to do with like losing. They said they need a coach who could take them to the next level. I thought Tom Thibodeau could take them to the next level, but you look at some of these losses that they had throughout the playoffs. It's not close. They're all like really far apart, all that stuff. And so I thought that part of it was yes, his rotations were horrible. Like he was like Miles McBride would take Campaign's minutes, Campaign would take like somebody else's minutes. Like it was an absolute circus, which has described their head coaching search so far. But I reason why I thought it was part of that was because of the rotations, and then another part was that was some of the Eastern Conference Finals games. They lost game 1. Um, they had a lead going down the stretch. They collapsed. Halliburton literally choked them, and hit a shot that sent to overtime, and then they ended up winning in overtime. Game 2, it was a close game. Nick didn't really blow a lead, but they weren't able to. But it was it was a loss at home, and that put them in a really bad hole. 2-0 going to Indiana. They won Game 3. Game 4 was a back and forth game that kind of collapsed like they did in Game 2. Game 5 they won. Game 6 they won. They lost by like 20, and I'm kind of like, oh boy, like this might happen. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Thibodeau got fired because of some of the losses against some of the losses against the Pacers. They lost by 20 in a closeout game, and then they absolutely collapsed in Game 1 against Indiana. So that's kind of what came from my point of view. That got Thibodeau kicked to the street.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea who their coach is going to be. Like, it could literally be anyone at this point. So I think they just gotta. They should hire Michael Malone.
Mm.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Michael Malone,
I
Mike
just don't think
Brown.
if you hire Michael Malone, what's the point of getting rid of Thibodeau? I mean, Michael Malone has won a finals with Denver, but I mean, I think Thibodeau is a good coach. I understand what you see fits and why you think he should have been fired, but I honestly thought,
I don't think he should have been fired. I just said he's gonna get fired. There's a difference.
okay, well,
If you
I
think he
don't
should
think
have
he
been
should have.
fired,
I
it
don't think
means
he
you don't
should have
like the
been.
guy.
I don't think he
I
should
think
have been.
Doc Rivers should be fired, but that's because I don't like the guy.
Yeah, I don't think Thibodeau should have been fired because I think the Knicks definitely. I think they exceeded expectations as far as making it as far as they did. There's a lot of the East is probably more competitive. I say more competitive than the West this year, in my opinion.
Oh
And
yeah, for sure.
so, I think the fact that they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals says a lot about the direction they're going, especially since it was their first Eastern Conference Finals. I think,
Since 2000.
yeah, in a really long time. So I think they're trending upwards, and I don't fully support the firing
Yeah,
of Thibodeau.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I'm sorry, but the fact that like I kind of thought he would be fired, but the fact that he actually got fired before Doc Rivers, after all of the stuff that's gone on in Milwaukee and
after
all the
all
different
that,
stuff, after all that, I can't believe that Doc Rivers is still employed as we're speaking right now. Like that's like had the worst playoff choke in probably the history of or just like anything regular season playoffs. That was the worst choke I've ever seen in my entire life. They were up by 7 points with 40 seconds. They had the game in the bag and turned it over. Blah blah blah. That was horrible. Like it was absolutely horrendous. Like why would it makes me more frustrated the more it makes me frustrated the more I talk about it. So I think on that we're gonna leave it. But Christian, didn't you say that Indiana has been active today, even with New Orleans, even when they're trying to prepare for Game 6, where they're trying to push it back to Oklahoma City?
yeah, Indiana traded their first round pick to I believe New Orleans for their 2026 first round pick. So I think I think this is a solid move because Indiana, I think they're seeing in these finals they're not quite there. Well, I don't know if that move is based on the finals because obviously Indiana thinks they still have a shot to win.
I don't think
Um,
it is, but it's happening during the
yeah,
finals, which is a little
it's happening
shocking.
during the finals. I just think they think New Orleans isn't going to be too good next year, and so they're looking to get a better pick than they have now. It's not a lottery pick; I believe it's like the 26th or 27th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a solid move. I don't think it means too much, but it's an interesting strategy. This shows New Orleans. I mean, they're trying to improve from this past year. They're trying to make a move that could hopefully make them more competitive in the Western Conference this next year. They got a lot of things in house. I think they have to worry about. They got to make sure Zion's healthy. They got to
Mm-hmm.
worry about
That's the biggest one.
because they have some solid pieces. Is
They
Brandon
got
Ingram
DeJounte
still there?
Murray. What?
Is Brandon Ingram still there?
No, he got traded to Toronto. Toronto.
Toronto. So
They got DeJounte Murray.
they have Jonte Murray,
He's a good piece,
Zion
but
if
he's
he could
coming
stay
off.
healthy.
He'll be Murray will be coming off an Achilles injury.
Yeah, so I think
So
this is
those are always up in the air.
I think this is good for the Pacers because I mean I wouldn't think the Pelicans would do too well this next upcoming year. So if they can get a better pick, than what they
I think
have
their
now,
coach will get
works
fired if
out.
they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. There's a lot of teams in the NBA that have a lot of potential this year. I think it'll be interesting. I think the biggest what if question going into next year will be Philadelphia. And I'm just gonna say that now. You got Embiid, who will hopefully be healthy. You got Maxey, Paul George, will hopefully get off his podcast and start playing. Start playing. Start playing.
Podcast P.
Podcast P was horrible. But no, I think they're going to be a big time question because a lot of this does it. I think Tyrese Maxey just couldn't carry a team by himself, but Paul George wasn't playing well. But I think the biggest that's not it. Paul George not playing was not even the worst part. It's the fact that Embiid only played 20 games this year. That was horrible. Like he had the whole surgery and the whole like everything. Like he just needs to get healthy and to be able to play.
I
Like
don't know. I
he's
think he might
just
be washed. I think these knee injuries for a guy his size, it might. This could be like the down. This could be a downward spiral in terms of his career. I think.
this is our
Um,
30 for 30 documentary.
I think it's gonna be a uphill battle in terms of him trying to return to the
Yeah.
level of play that we've seen from him in recent years. So I think the Sixers should continue to get young. I don't think they signed Paul George in free agency. Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
they didn't trade him, but I just think they need to continue to build for the future. I think Jared McCain is a solid young piece. I like that pick, and I'm sure he's going to continue to get better. And yeah, I just don't think Embiid is gonna ever return to the way he has been playing.
No, I don't either. Actually, now that you think about it, he's going to turn into Ben Simmons. Except Ben Simmons was bad before he got hurt. Um,
Yeah, we don't need to
but
talk about him.
yeah, we don't, yeah, that's wasting oxygen, as I like to say.
Mhm.
Um, so, but I think that's all we got for basketball. So moving on, we got we're gonna just take a little segment to golf.
Okay.
U.S. Open was this past weekend. JJ Spawn nailed a 64-foot putt to win. It's like his second major, but it's really putting him on the map. The first major was like some Texas tournament in 2022, but
I heard
this
the
has really
weather
put
was
him on.
pretty bad. Am I wrong? Was I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yeah, yes, this was a very historic this was a very historic tournament because like this was the first tournament that I don't watch a whole lot of golf, but this was the first tournament for me where I watched that the highest that at one point everyone was over par. Like it was like +1, +2, stuff like that. Like no one was under. This was a really hard course, and JJ Spawn finished at one under for the entire tournament.
Nice.
So if he would have either one under or two under. So, but he had a couple. I think he had like something of like 135 feet of putts in the last couple holes, and one of those putts was the 64-foot putt that helped him win. And that was
I
unbelievable.
might sound like an idiot, but
Um,
what's par?
Par is like the baseline. So like when they say it's like each hole you have like it's like how many so like it's usually used for a specific hole, and then they move it it's and then they add it all up the 18 and the par, and then that number is the par for the course. So basically like if it's a par 4, it's supposed to take you 4 shots
How do they calculate
uh,
that?
like yardage
Okay.
for like a typical golfer. And then yeah, so that's typically that's what par is. I don't know what that was, but everyone was it was either even or over and barely under. JJ Spawn finished at like 1 or 2 under. But he won on an incredible putt. So we'll take that. Anyway, moving on. We're just gonna take a quick backtrack to baseball before we talk about some NFL. The College World Series had a no hitter. Gage Wood threw like 19 strikeouts. He hit
Incredible.
yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, let's just be spade to spade. That's 6 1/3 inning of just strikeouts. Like that alone is like that's mind boggling. So I think that was crazy. Didn't really get to watch it, but just heard about it. I mean, that was cool. That was really dope. Um, yeah, that was cool to watch. That was cool to hear about, and
Yeah, he threw
still got.
118 pitches, and it says he was still throwing 97 in the ninth inning.
Mhm.
So he was cooking.
Yeah,
He was cooking with gas. I saw the
yeah.
highlights. Like he was burning with the fastball. He had some good breaking balls, but
Oh, he's hotter than fish grease.
yeah.
Some Mark Jones right there for you. Um, Now, yeah, I think that was just crazy. Arkansas moves on. I don't know who they're playing, but it's for like some elimination game. The game's on. It'll be on at 4. If anyone's interested in watching. And then yeah, so that's about it for college. Now moving on to MLB because I've gotten into MLB this season. Now that moving away, big Diamondbacks fan because that's really the only team that I can root for in Arizona without making it look like I'm a bandwagon because they're not doing very good right now. But yeah, so anyway, the reigning champions, the LA Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani was back on the mound, made his Dodger pitching debut. He was back on the mound today after not pitching for almost 2 years. He was still with the Angels last time he pitched. To put that into perspective, no, but I don't know what he had. Did it? Do you know what? I don't know what he had wrong with his pitching arm.
I think he did he have Tommy John?
He might have had Tommy John, but it was bad. I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't escape the point that he was out for um he was out for a year from pitching, so he's just a designated hitter. But I mean, that didn't really matter because last year he had maybe like one of the best careers in the history of the MLB. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. I know it was more, but that was like the 50. I'm putting it that way because it was the 50-50 club. He had a lot more than um 50 of each, but that was historic. They ended up winning the World Series in 5 games against the Yankees. But that was historic. And he was back on the mound. Only pitched an inning, but I mean had a couple of had a strikeout. And didn't allow any runs. So, or I don't. I think he didn't allow any runs.
I think he allowed one.
He allowed
How
one.
many innings did he
Well, I mean,
pitch?
like what?
How many innings did he pitch?
I think just one.
Yeah, it's just one. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't want to. They want to overdo him, which, to be honest, I think is very, very smart.
Yeah.
Um,
He was throwing 100 in his return, so he's
yeah, I mean,
still got
his
it.
first pitch was at like 100. We're like, holy cow!
Yeah.
The league, the league is in trouble. No, but let's take a look. What the hell? It's, yeah, he only pitched an inning.
Yeah. That's good. They're keeping him fresh.
Yeah, he only pitched an inning, and he had allowed 1 run. He had 1 error. No strikeouts, 2 hits. Uh, and yeah, that was about it. They went. Dodgers went deep into their bullpen. Um, went deep into their bullpen last night. So anyway, moving on to NFL. Good that Shohei's back on the mound. Christian, you have any NFL news you want to break? I know I have mine.
NFL news.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can talk about the Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, you want to? Yeah,
Yeah, Shamar Stewart. He was the rookie D lineman that the Bengals drafted this in the NFL draft this past draft, and he was the 17th overall pick, and he still has not been signed to a contract, and he's holding out. Has Isn't going to mini camp. He showed up a
hmm
couple days, and then now he's not going because of this contract issue, which looks pretty embarrassing on the Bengals front office, especially since they can't sign Trey Hendrickson, who is well deserving of a big time deal after he led the league in sacks this past year. So,
Henderson and T.J. Watt still aren't signed and still aren't going to camp.
who are who?
Hendrickson, who you said, and then
Yeah,
T.J. Watt's another. T.J. Watt's another one.
yeah, T.J. Watt. Well, I think that they should. T.J. Watt will get his contract eventually, especially since the Steelers don't have a lot of you know stars on their team anymore. The Bengals had an offseason full of signees on the offensive end. Took care of both the receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But the defensive ball, which is actually the biggest issue of the Bengals, they aren't able to sign Trey Anderson and now Shamar Stewart. And the reason they can't sign Shamar Stewart is because in his contract they're not giving him guaranteed money, and they're saying if he gets into any like legal trouble, they can void his contract or something like that, something along those lines, which has never been put into a rookie contract or any contract
Yeah.
before. So that's the agents and the NFLPA, I guess, caught this wording, and that's the reason why a deal has not been done yet because the Bengals are.
Isn't it true that you have to give a rookie guaranteed money?
I mean, I think you do, but it's just the thing, just the whole thing with this Bengals. It's looking bad on their part, especially since the defensive side of the ball is what they need to.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
It's embarrassing for crying out loud. I mean, we're talking about the we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Like they've just been this whole last year's just been kind of been embarrassing, even with their season, where they started out 4-8, they rallied back to 9-8, and then they missed the playoffs. Like that's just kind of how it's been the last year for Cincinnati.
which is
So this is
really
gonna be a bit.
unfortunate because
I
teams with
love, dude. I don't know about you. I love watching Joe Burrow play. Like he's one of
well,
my
he's an
favorites. He and
MVP
Josh Allen
candidate.
are, yeah. He and Josh Allen are um, up there with MVP. Well, Josh Allen won an MVP, but they're up there with like young stars who are rising. I wouldn't. Patrick Mahomes is already there, so I'm not going to include him in that discussion. But yeah, two stars who are rising. They're hungry, both in the AFC. So I think it'll be good. Hopefully, those two teams meet in the AFC Championship. It's very highly unlikely.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, yeah. I think the whole Shamar Stewart thing. I think that's just crazy. The fact that because it said that if he doesn't get a contract, he could go back to college and then wait to next year to be a free agent.
yeah.
That's what I saw.
That's actually that's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I I was at the draft and I saw him walk across the stage. Like that's just insane.
Yeah,
The fact that he would be able to go back to college. Like that's just crazy. Um, so, and then the whole T.J. Watt deal. He hasn't signed a contract, so he hasn't been at camp. But I think he'll get it. He'll get it done. They'll get it done. Um, and let's stay on the topic of the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers. Um, so I think that was interesting. Finally happened. I mean, he knew the Jets kind of dismissed him a while ago. Like they dismissed him in April, and he finally signed in June. So I mean, he kind of took his sweet old time with things. Kind of does how Aaron Rodgers on Aaron Rodgers time. Like he just kind of does his things when he's comfortable. Goes off on his little retreats, his darkness retreats, his silent retreats. Everything. He went to go see the pyramids of Egypt. Like all this wild shit that Aaron Rodgers does. Like this just adds to it. So. Um, I think that it'll be interesting for sure. I definitely think that this whole Aaron Rodgers thing is going to be interesting. Year 21, Rodgers. Not a lot of. I mean, besides Tom Brady, not a lot of NFL players. Not a lot of NFL players even get up to year like 15. Um, so I think this will. What do you think about this whole Aaron Rodgers thing? 'Cause I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how he fits in with Pittsburgh. The Jets thing. The first year tore his Achilles after 4 snaps. The second year, 5-12, wasn't the best year. Could have been better. Had all this hype around him. How do you think Pittsburgh will go?
I think Rodgers needs to retire. First off,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Rodgers is done. Like he's just like I feel like after since he's left, and this is not being biased at all. Since he's left Green Bay, he's kind of just gone like this. Um, now I'm not saying that's because leaving the organization because, um, in what way soever because you look at it, torn Achilles after 4 snaps, 5-12. He didn't really get like that except for like maybe a couple of years in Green Bay. Never 5-12 when you had all this hype around him. So he just hasn't been able to perform. So I think that's the main thing from it. And then you go see how Pittsburgh works out. I mean, he's got a decent amount of weapons in Pittsburgh. He's got DK Metcalf, who's just a freak nature of an athlete, um, with unbelievable verticality. Um, so I think it'll be interesting. I definitely do. I think it'll be interesting how it all works out. But Christian, I'm kind of on your side. I think if this Steelers year does not go well, he should retire. He should definitely retire.
you're gonna let me talk now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um.
my bad, bro.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I think he should retire, but I think that you know Mike Tomlin always finds a way to keep his team. Sort of 500. No matter who's throwing the ball, no matter what they're dealing with. So I think,
How he's kept his job.
yeah, I think they'll find a way to, be a competitive team. The whole Jets year last year was just a straight disaster, and I wouldn't expect that to happen with the Steelers. I think they got one of the best defenses in the league once they get TJ Watt back, of course. And I think on the offensive side of the ball, um, DK for they got DK, but then they gave up um, George Pickens, which I don't know if that's necessarily an upgrade, but and they lost Najee in free agency. They did just draft a new running back, so I think the offensive side of the ball really has a lot of question marks, but Rodgers is a veteran. He should provide more stability to that side of the ball, let the defense do their thing, and I think the Steelers will sort of hover around 500 like they always do.
Yeah, I don't know how they somehow hover around 500 because you look at some of those rosters and those rosters are not 500 teams
Yeah,
at all. I think it'll be interesting. He got married, so maybe that'll do
out of
something.
nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, talk about talk about the weird situation. He comes out and he has a wedding ring. I'm like, I didn't know he was seeing anyone. Like, let's just put that out there. Like Aaron Rodgers lives his personal life, doesn't really like to get his personal life in the media. Doesn't really talk to his family. Yeah, have you seen the Aaron Rodgers enigma?
I've not.
Okay, it's kind of interesting. I watched it. Being a Packer fan, I watched it. Um, but like some of the stuff like behind the scenes, like you like breaks down of some of the decisions doesn't make them any better, but kind of get to see it from his perspective, which is kind of cool. Um, Definitely cleared some stuff up. But I think part of that is just like I think just wants everything to be private, you know, not really kind of private and doing his own thing. So it'll be interesting to see how this year works out. Maybe being married may help him out a little bit. Um, so it'll be interesting for sure. Um, Now, Jair Alexander, moving on to Green Bay. Jair Alexander got cut, has not found a new team. That is very interesting. I mean, Christian, I know you're not a Packer fan, but like, what were your thoughts about Jair? Because I kind of saw it. I saw it coming. Just
You
the
saw it
fact
coming?
that, or no, I saw the fact of him leaving. I didn't see the fact of him getting released. Let's just
Yeah.
like those are two completely different things. Um, so I think that it'll be um, interesting to see like what happens with where he ends up and how well he does. But what were your thoughts when Jair got released?
Yeah, I was surprised, especially since he's been a Pro Bowl, an All Pro corner the last couple of years. But the best ability is availability, and he's in the past 2 seasons. I don't think he's even played a full year's worth of games. So
More
he's
like
been
three. More like the year that they went to the playoffs against San Francisco. That was his first game back since like week 3. No, that was Zadarius Smith. Yeah, it just hasn't had a good availability. Keep going, keep going.
yeah, and so I guess he's only getting older. But and they're paying him a lot of money, so I think that's a big reason of why they got rid of him because they're paying him a lot and he hasn't been shown up on the field the last 2 years.
I know.
Um, he's also been a interesting character the last couple of years. Have you seen like some of the antics he's had? Like, didn't he like go out as a captain when the coach didn't even tell him to or something like that? And he says, "I'm basically the
Yes,
captain." Do you remember that?
yes,
Yeah,
yes. I remember that game, and everyone's like, "Oh, they didn't ask him like, what are you doing? Like, come on."
yeah, that was interesting. But
See,
yeah. What were you saying?
no, so I went to the Packer Bear game when they clinched the playoffs that one year, and then the next day, as I'm traveling back to Milwaukee to go back home, I see like this thing on my phone, and there was an interview, and they were talking about it, and I don't know if you saw the clip where he had these like shades on, and he walks up behind the interview, he's like, "I'm just here to tell you, Pack is back." Huh? And he did like the whole thing, and then the reporter's like, "Oh," and we hear it from a fan as well. I'm like, "Oh my god! Like,
Oh, from
are
a
we
fan.
serious?"
Yeah.
What?
They thought he was a fan.
Yes.
I think I remember saying that, yeah. That's
Yeah,
funny.
but it wasn't the fact that like the fan part. It was the fact that it was talking about like it was the fact that like it was he came in the middle of an interview or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that was interesting.
I'm sure
Um,
he'll find a job somewhere. It's just he needs
yeah,
to know his worth and the fact that he hasn't been on the field the last couple of years. He's gonna be given more of a prove it deal. Sort of probably not the numbers he's used to expecting, but maybe a 1 year deal along the lines like 7 to 10 7. I think like 7 million, something like that. Something where he's got to prove that he deserves the big time money and he has to stay on the field.
yeah, I would agree. I think it'll be interesting how this whole thing works out
Hmm.
with Jair and like where do you think he'll go? What team, in your opinion, needs a running back or not a running back, a quarterback? My bad.
um,
That's my
let's
bad.
see. I think I know the Rams have been needing cornerbacks, and another guy who's been a free agent or who's looking to get traded actually is Jalen Ramsey. He's been linked to the Rams a little bit. Um, let me
Bring
just look.
Jair back with Devontae.
Oh, I think Vikings. The Vikings are really in need of a corner. They had pretty bad corner play last
Could you
year.
imagine how much of a nightmare that would be if you have Favre who went to the Vikings, Jones who went to the Vikings, then Jair going to the Vikings? Like that's for me as a Packer fan, that's like the ultimate nightmare right there.
Mhm.
Like I don't care if he goes to anyone else, just don't go to the Vikings or the Bears.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Vikings is my number one target for him because they should have addressed the cornerback position in the draft. My friend, who is a Vikings fan, really thought they were gonna take Will Johnson
Friend's an
um,
idiot.
when he was available, but they didn't. And I think since they're a cornerback needy team, I think both sides will be able to put their differences aside, and we might Fitz's Packers might have to play Jair twice a year. That'd be interesting to see.
We already played Jones twice a year. That's painful enough already.
Yeah.
And especially if he plays and has high production, like bro. I can't tell you how irritated I'm gonna be. Yeah, now let's talk about some of the team. Now, this next topic is going to take no more than 5 seconds. Antonio Brown is wanted for attempted murder. That's leaving it at that. Now,
CTE
nuts.
is a bitch, huh?
What?
CTE is not treating him well.
Mm-mm. I don't think. I think part of that's CT. Part of that's just him being an idiot,
Yeah,
like he was when he was still in the league, or how he was when he left the league. Literally,
yeah,
when he took all of his pads off and started throwing shit into the stands.
crazy.
So, like, that's just. But now, moving on, NFL teams. What's Christian? I want to say, like, we're gonna answer this in different ways. It's gonna be a couple questions. First, we're gonna answer them one by one. The team that has the most hype that you think is kind of like fraud, like in Doug Berto's words, pretenders. Like the team that has a lot of hype but might be under it, like pretenders
Okay.
throughout the whole league.
Well, let me think.
Yeah, take your time.
I
Move on
think
to let's move on. Let's move on to the sleeper. The sleeper.
no,
I
I'm
think
gonna
this.
go. I'm gonna go. I
All
think
right.
I think it's gonna be the Patriots. I think they've got a lot of hype from the draft. Year two of Drake May. I still think it's gonna be a struggle bus for them. I think they're still missing a lot of pieces. I don't think Stephon Diggs is really gonna be the answer
Mm-mm.
on the as a receiver. So I'm gonna go Patriots.
All right. I'm gonna go Chargers. Uh, I'm just playing. I'm just
Let's hear it,
playing.
Fez. Let's hear it.
I was gonna say I'm kind of I'm kind of on your side with the Patriots, but I kind of want to say my own team. I think. Ooh, I got a really good one. I think it's gonna be the Vikings.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think it's going to be the Vikings. I'm not saying this bias at all. Like, let's just put it that way. I think the Bears are trash, but like that's just it's the Bears. Like everyone, the whole league thinks that. But I think it's the Vikings because they got all this hype around JJ McCarthy. They got all this hype around Justin Jefferson. They got all this hype around everyone else. If they sign Jair Alexander, it's only going to go up. So I think it's the Vikings because they got all this hype around these different players. Now these players might not be able to perform. I don't think JJ McCarthy's the answer because if you look at some of his highlights at Michigan and the reason why they won the national championship, it's not him. It's Blake Corum. All he did was just hike, take the ball, hand it off, and Corum would just run up the field. Like it's not McCarthy. So like everyone's like, oh, it's JJ. I'm like, no, it's not. The only reason why they won a championship was because of Corum.
Yeah,
So I think it'll be interesting, and that's the team that I think that's the team I think is overhyped for sure.
I think that's a good one. Yeah.
And I know a lot of Vikings fans, and I know you guys are unhappy with me right now, but truth hurts sometimes. You can say all you want about the Packers, but Jordan Love's going to go crazy this year. JJ McCarthy is going to go down. Like that's just going to go down. It's going to be belt to ass when the Packers play the Vikings.
Fitz already talking some shit.
I'm talking to you, Connor Cook. You
Connor
know what I'm
Cook.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calling out Connor Cook.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I didn't even get to see Connor Cook when I was in town.
Yeah, because he dished my grad party for work, and then he got a cut in his leg.
Yeah.
But that's not what's important right now. That's not what's important right now. Talk now. The sleeper.
Mm. Sleeper. I think it's gonna be a sleeper. I think the Giants are gonna be a sleeper this next year. I think Russell
That
Wilson
was my.
will.
That was gonna be my answer. Damn it.
I think the Russell Wilson will lead them, as far as he can. I think they'll obviously be better than
Not the pep talker.
the ready break with no one there or the high fiving imaginary people. Maybe his playing workouts, but
His pep talks.
yeah, I think that he'll be better than Daniel Jones, and then I think even if they decide not to use their rookie QB from Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, who I think will be pretty good. But I
I
just
think it'd
think
be really good.
that the draft pick, what they did in the draft, getting probably the best defensive player, Abdul Carter, in the whole draft, and then one of the best running backs, Cam Scadaboo, and then just what they have still with they got great weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I just think that they could be a real problem in that
Okay.
AFC or NFC
Yeah, I
East.
would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. Um, I think that it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing go. I'm curious to see how this whole thing goes down. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. All right. Um, now, I think I would have to say the Giants is my sleeper too, just because I mean, like you kind of brought up all the points, but you got Abdul Carter, a good defensive weapon. I think actually let's say Jacksonville because I think Trevor Lawrence is good. Trevor Lawrence is due for a good year. Trevor Lawrence is good for due for a
It's
good
about
year.
time now, huh?
Yeah, I know. Talk about it. I mean, now you should actually be embarrassed by that playoff loss because Jacksonville hasn't been able to do anything since that.
I am, trust me.
Um, yeah. Well,
I'm still embarrassed from that Texans playoff loss. That was bad.
yeah, that one was bad. The dude that Eker saw ended his season.
Yep.
Um, but anyway, yeah, I think the Jaguars because Trevor Lawrence is good, due for a good year. They got Travis Hunter. They got a new coach. They got just new staff. I think they're due for a good year, and I think it's going to be a good year.
Yep.
Um,
Oh. Brian
so,
Thomas is a weapon, or a real weapon right there.
yeah, yeah, I think this NFL season will be interesting. A lot of different moving parts, a lot of different players facing old teams. I think Sam Darnold faces Minnesota at some point this season. Aaron Rodgers plays Green Bay and New York. Um, I think he's kind of a wuss for not playing going to a team that plays the Packers at Lambeau. But I mean, beggars can't be choosers. So all I know is that when the Packers go to Pittsburgh, they're just absolutely going to destroy Aaron Rodgers, put him in retirement, and then you never hear from him again. Um, anyway, you got anything you want to talk about, or we good
Oh.
to wrap this hiatus episode back?
Yeah, this
Or
is a
wrap
good
this
first
hiatus?
episode back.
Yeah, good first episode back after hiatus. Christian and I are still alive.
What
Everything's
season
going
is
good.
this?
7.
Start of season 7. That's
That no, I don't know that it's either 6, 7. It's either 6 or 7, but yeah. Either we're starting a new season. Episodes are still available. Just we're gonna be consistent or try to more consistent. And when I mean consistent, I mean probably gonna make an episode before another year. Um, Definitely gonna make some episodes. We got summer and then going to college, and then who knows what happens after that. But we're just gonna try and make more episodes. Um, but thank you guys so much for listening and supporting us on our way back. Really appreciate it. And yeah, just looking forward to more episodes in the future. We're gonna leave with the way we came. So thank you so much. And for that, I'm Fitz Kerrigan.
Christian Mott.
And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace out.